Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is Noir, and this week I'm talking about two movies, The Fifth Element and the German film Run Lola Run. I think it's slightly different in German, but I thought that would be kind of a fantastic um sort of a redheaded protagonist double feature of sorts. Because and it was kind of funny because that's Run Lola Run is one of my favorite movies, and The Fifth Element is my roommate's favorite movie, and it's a movie that I've had trouble watching, not because of the hmm, no, I just remember it coming on TV and like me being like, uh I would literally only see the part where she like falls Leeloo falls into the cab and oh well no I would see the part where she's like kind of birthed essentially, and then she escapes and falls into the cab, and then that's kind of it. And it would always be on TV, and either I get really distracted or something. I don't know what would happen, but for some reason, that would be the only part of the movie that I would see, and then I wouldn't see anything else. And then with Run Lola Run, I was introduced to that like in my early 20s, so I watched it like a decade or so ago, and I really, really enjoyed it a lot. It's kind of a time travel-esque film, and to get into both of these movies, I'm like, let me at least read the synopsis. I would say the main thing that surprised me about The Fifth Element is that I thought Leeloo would have more of a um more screen time than she did actually. It's like I thought she was more of a main character when really truly uh what's his name? Bruce Willis is the main character. I was like, "Oh, huh." Because I feel like whenever Fifth Element is brought up, it's kind of just like her, and I didn't realize that she wasn't really the main character. She's more of this like alien creature that is going to save the Earth or destroy it, either or. But to get into the synopsis of The Fifth Element, when a supreme being crashes into his taxi, a former commando turned 23rd century cabbie must help her retrieve four elemental stones to destroy an ancient evil before a ruthless industrialist and human nature undo them all. And so it was directed by Luc Besson, who is this French director who is also not a great person. He is essentially a pedophile. Yeah. It's like 'cause we were like watching the movie because it's on Tubi for free right now. And I'm like, Tubi, man, it's got everything. And I was like, what was it? Because aside from me trying to watch it on TV, I was like, there's something, another reason why I haven't watched this movie. And then I remembered like maybe a quarter through the way that that was the other reason. It was just like, oh, because he's not the guy who made this, the director is not a great person. So, to get into that, before getting into the movie, because at the end of the day, the person who he was involved with is now like in her 50s and has moved on, and she has created her own career, and I feel like um it doesn't do her justice to continue to talk about what happened to her if she's also like moved on with her life because it's like, okay, so at what point does she become her own person? And like, can we move on from, focusing on this? I'm like, it is fucked up, of course. And I will also say that this director is still getting like different allegations thrown at him. So I'm not saying he's like, grown from this behavior, but at least when talking about this specific situation, um, his victim, who she doesn't even see herself as like she doesn't regret any of what happened or anything like that. Allegedly. I mean, if anything, she could just be like, "Can we stop talking about this?" I'm like literally an adult. I am my own person now. Like, please. But um anyway, so I'm like, let me make sure I can pronounce her name properly. But so basically Luke was 33 and he met his wife at 15. They got married. A year later, they had a child. And when this movie was getting made, she was about 20, and they ended up getting a divorce, actually. And he ended up marrying the actress who plays Leeloo, who was also 20 at the time as well, which is wild. It's like, huh, what's happening? But I don't know if I ever. So Malin, her name is Malin. He met her at 15, like I was saying. Uh, Malin Lesco, who is also French. Do. And like I was saying, she is also someone who uh does like she's still acting. I believe she's directing as well. Like, yeah, she's writing and directing, which is really cool. Like she has her own life, like legitimately. And in The Fifth Element, she also plays the diva, who is this character who is this alien, this blue alien that is a sort of operatic singer. And but yeah, I'm like, that's so all of it's so like fucked up in general because I'm like, what do you mean you. And the Wikipedia, this was crazy too, because I was like, Wikipedia, why are you fucking up right now? Because if he is, is 37, 38 when they divorce, but why do you have it where he's like 31? I'm like, they need to just edit the his age a little bit, just a teeny bit. But yeah, for him to leave her for me, Mila, I'm a little distracted because I feel like I just saw Johnny Depp's face. And I'm like, he's still acting? Uh, anyway, Mila Jovovich. That is Johnny Depp. I'm on Malwin's I'm on Malwin's Wikipedia. I mean, not Wikipedia. IMDb, and they're showing like a advertisement for something she's in right now, and I guess Johnny Depp's in it too. I'm like, did he just like run off to France or something to make stuff? What the scandal? All right, let me stop being distracted. But oh, and then another thing with Luke and Malin is that he based their quote unquote romance, or Leon the professional is based quote unquote on his romance with Malin and like his love for her. And I want to say I heard different news things about how There's like different controversies about that movie in general. Like I think he wanted to push it further, especially with like Natalie Portman's character and everything like that. Because again, she was a little girl filming this, and the people around her, like her parents and the other people, creative team behind Leon the Professional had her back and were keeping her safe, which is like amazing because I'm like you there's so many Hollywood child star like nightmare-esque situations. I'm like there's a whole thing with uh Drew Barrymore and how she got involved with like alcohol and drugs at a very, very young age. There's any of the stories of like the Nickelodeon kids um who were being given alcohol and things like that very young. And it's just like it's nice to hear when adults are actually protecting kids in these situations, because otherwise it's like it's really shitty. But so similar to Leon the Professional, um, this movie, The Fifth Element, was also co-written by someone. It wasn't just Luke by himself, which is also probably why uh Leeloo isn't as more of a dominant character. But I mean, again, because of this man, we have the whole born sexy yesterday trope of like this beautiful adult woman who is kind of new to life somehow. So she has this level of intelligence, she could kick your ass and everything like that. And but also there is a naivety about her, and it's like, yeah, because he's adultifying children. Like it's not even like when you actually think about it, like if because Leeloo is supposed to be this kind of character, or Leeloo could be um believed to Leeloo fits that sort of character art, character description, and it's like, yeah, because he's probably thinking of like a literal child and adultifying them, like which is shitty, which is awful. Um, Nothing around, no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But um, anyway, so it was co-written by Robert Mark Kamen, who he also co-wrote like Leon the Professional with him. So I'm like, okay, so he has a way to work with this man and get, you know, ideas together. It's kind of similar to how Andrew Lloyd Webber, he's like great at making music, but maybe not so great with like lyricism. Um, and that's more of in like a positive way. But when I looked more into Robert Mark Cam- Kamen, he also wrote The Karate Kid, like the original one. And that's actually like semi based on his own experiences of like being bullied growing up and then taking a karate class and being able to defend himself. He also created the Taken series and the Transporter series, and I was like, okay, shit, he's done a lot of shit. I don't give a fuck about Luke, whatever his ass is doing, but Robert, you're doing shit. I love that. um, and so, ooh, and then obviously I have to shout out John Paul Gaultier because he did the costume design for this movie, and I'm like, yes, all of this is gorgeous. We had a great time with like Ruby Road, played by Chris Tucker. All of his outfits, like everything in this movie is gorgeous. And I want to say it kind of gives sort of PG. Yeah, it's definitely. I was like, there was a level to it that was kind of like there was all this violence and things going on, but no one really died per se, and it wasn't really bloody, and there wasn't really cursing either. And I'm like, this movie feels like it could have been a PG movie, but it had this like very overarching theme of, you know, yeah, the world is kind of shitty and humans are awful, but like love wins in the end, and that's great stuff. I'm like, I'm not about to watch Harry Potter. Ugh. I'm only saying that because I'm on the IMDb again, and to look at the Fifth Element, and IMDb loves an ad. It loves showing ads, and it was talking to the original cast of the Harry Potter series and how all those movies are on HBO Max. And fuck J.K. Rowling, fuck Harry Potter. And that's not just me as like someone who loved Harry Potter growing up, and now because J.K. Rowling is a TERF, which if you don't know what that is, that's trans exclusionary radical feminism, where your feminism is rooted in trans people not existing. These people are also usually anti-sex work, and it honestly at some point goes to a level of like being racist and everything like that. And it's like, ugh, the fact that we are getting another Harry Potter series. Oh wait, no. Okay. But I also didn't like Harry Potter when I was younger. I feel like I've said this before on the pod. But I remember picking up the first book, and I was curious about it because in Georgia, I thought this was a nationwide thing, but in Georgia specifically, when I was younger, they were trying to ban the Harry Potter books because of witchcraft. And I think they kind of might have banned some in like a certain district or whatever. But I remember being at the Scholastic Book Fair and picking up the book, and I read that first page and I was like, I'm bored. And I never picked it up again. I literally never picked it up again. Because I was like, oh, another fucking I didn't curse as a child, not really. Another freaking but as an adult, another fucking book about a boy protagonist. Like I was annoyed. And I was also reading a series of unfortunate events, which was a lot more interesting to me because that was like siblings, and loved Lemony Snicket. I don't think I ever really finished that series of books though, but that's what I was reading, and I was just tired of these stories about little boys who were like, I'm just so ordinary. And then they realize that they're extraordinary or exceptional or whatever. And, me at the time being this black little girl wanted to read things about myself or at least something else that wasn't just about a little white boy. And that's, representation definitely matters. And I was bored. I was sick of it. And, and now I'm just like, I'm a non binary person who enjoys like all kinds of stories. I'm like, as long as it's interesting and it pulls me in, I don't really care if it's like cis het and or even heteronormative. Cause again, I'm like, at least be interesting. At least do something different. Like I would have been so down for that like one night only movie about like the one night only that single people can have sex, if not for the fact that it looked like some weird like heteronormative propaganda or something. But anyway, suffice to say, J.K. Rowling is so very anti me existing, specifically trans women though, because trans men don't exist to these people. non-binary people don't exist to these people either. They think that trans men are delusional and brainwashed, and therefore don't exist. And then with trans women, they usually just think of them as, you know, a man in a dress. And it's like, it's the same thing with trans women in sports. It's like there are different regulations that involve, trans women being in sports in general. It's like how long have they been transitioning? They checking the hormone levels and everything like that. So with these people coming out and being like, I'm gonna join the WNBA, it's like, okay, but are you gonna get on the hormones for the bit as well? Are you gonna be on them for years? Are you gonna get any other, like, are you gonna do any of the surgeries or whatever? Because there are regulations that already exist. People are just making a bigger deal out of nothing. And then, especially with, and what sucks about the policing of trans bodies is that, you know, it will just turn around and then be pointed at cis people, especially cis women who aren't like overly feminine, right? Because it's like, what does it mean to be a woman, right? What level of performance are you looking for? Because then all of a sudden, like butch women could start getting policing out of nowhere because it's like, oh, well, you're not wearing a dress, you're not wearing makeup, obviously you're not a woman. And it's like cis women can fucking grow facial hair. Like that is a thing that can happen. We're all fucking mammals, people. And then so the whole bathroom laws as well, it's like, okay, so a trans man who has been transitioning for years, who can grow a fucking beard, now is being forced to use the woman's bathroom because they have to use the bathroom that matches their fucking birth certificate. And now y'all are upset because, oh no, there's a man in the bathroom. And it's like, well, they were born with as a woman. So this is what y'all fucking wanted, right? Anyway, it's like, I hate the scapegoating that has been going on for a long time when it comes to trans people, a minority of people. And it sucks because it's like I've seen how this happens to black people in general, black men in the news and stuff, being called thugs and being part of the gangs and everything like that. And it's like I knew that the news was lying to me. I knew that these were just innocent people either getting arrested or killed by the police and being portrayed as violent online. I knew these were lies. So it's jarring to me that people who grow up knowing that the news lies to us can turn around and see something about a different minority of people and believe that stuff is real. Especially with how things are going with like deep fakes and generative AI and things like that. It's like all like you're literally being lied to as your government does nothing for you, poisons the air, poisons your food, and is making it much and much harder to buy food, live in general. Like, this government is really just awful. And then you look at New York, you look at their mayor, you look at him fixing everything. He hasn't even been fucking mayor for a goddamn year. And so much good is happening over there that it's like, oh, so this is what it means to have a politician that can actually do what the fuck they signed up to do. That's crazy. That's crazy. Literally, it's it's so funny to see. And I'm like, no wonder they didn't want him in office because he's showing everyone in this country what other politicians should have been doing this whole time. But I'm like, I didn't really want to go um that off about it, but I'm like, that shit just pisses me off. The Harry Potter shit, because literally she has stated multiple times that any money she's getting from Harry Potter is going directly to anti-trans laws in the UK where she lives. You're literally funding her pockets to, stops trans existence. Like that is in the UK specifically. Um, and I'm like, that's fucked up. That's fucked up in general. I'm like, literally move on. Literally move on. I'm like, it's not it's not that big of a deal. Like literally it's a piece of media. If you literally buy the fucking DVD box set or something secondhand, just like pirate it or anything if it just means that much to you. But at some point it's like you have to stop. You have to stop because all you're doing is funding her hatred towards trans people. But anyway, to get into this movie, I'm like, I don't think I started any of it. Oh, okay. So, the movie starts off. I'm like, hopefully, here. Let me remember where I stop talking. It starts off, in the I had to burp, maybe. Oh no, it was a hiccup. Yeah, like I was trying to say, the movie starts off in the past and we see we're in Egypt and if aliens come down and they're like, "Hey, please protect this thing." Um and something like that. Oh, sorry. They actually take the weapon away that's supposed to defeat the evil that's supposed to appear in like 5,000 years. Because they just don't trust it being in Earth anymore. It is the fifth element that they take away. That is the weapon, and so we jump ahead to the 23rd century, and this evil is coming. It's been living on a fireball. It's on its way. President is played by Tom Lester Jr. And I'm like, okay, our president is black in the 23rd century. I feel like I've seen this guy. I forgot to look him up, but I know I've seen him in other stuff. He is. Oh wait, I feel like he was in. No, no, no. Let me not say that. Oh my God, he's literally from the Friday movies. Duh. But also, he was in Austin Powers Goldfinger, and wait, he was a wrestler? Okay. Oh, died? Man, I thought this man was still alive. I'm just got really sad. Jesus. I'm like, is there anything else I recognize him from? The Meteor Man, another black classic. Um, Man, that just made me sad. He passed away in 2020. Um, but I think where did he pass away? Now I'm like looking. He was. They found him. He was 62. Hypertension. cardiovascular disease. I didn't realize he was a wrestler though. Damn. But our main cast of characters and the people who we're kind of following for this, or at least on the Earth side, is President Lindbergh, played by Tom Lester Jr., General Monroe, played by Brian James, Cornelius, who is the priest who is supposed to take the fifth element and sort of teach the fifth element all the, play catch up a little bit with the fifth element and have them go through this training. We find that out a little later, but he also has the key to the chamber that is in Egypt. That was passed down to all of the people who are sort of the keepers of this knowledge, essentially. And his assistant David, played by Charlie Creed Miles. Leeloo, of course, played by Mila Jova Jovovic Jovovic Jovovic. Corbin Dallas, played by Bruce Willis, of course. And then some of our antagonists, we have Right Arm, played by Tricky, who is a, like, wait a minute. Is I assume? Yeah, okay. He's a musician, a mm, producer, rapper. He's British. Specifically, I'm like, I don't think he's American. Um, like, is he still alive? Okay, he's still alive. Like, please. Can't go on another Wikipedia and find out this man is also dead. It's cool. I should have looked into how the hell he got that role, because I'm like, oh, he's like a rapper, specifically a British rapper, and producer who is in this movie playing this alien called Right Arm, and he's kind of just like he's kind of the leader of these group of aliens that do trade, arms trade essentially, and he's working with Zorg, played by Gary Oldman, who Gary Oldman is acting in this. He's like he's so overacting in this, but I love it. I do love an overactor. He's so dramatic in this. Love that. That's my favorite. And he's working for like some darkness or whatever as well, because he's trying to get the elements and stuff and then sell it to some guy, and he tricked Right Arm and, um had all their weapons explode on them, and now Right Arm is like, okay, so we have to get this to fuck him over, because fuck him. And I'm like, who else? And then I already mentioned Chris Tucker's in this playing Ruby Road, who's like this radio. Actually, it's so interesting because I'm like, yeah, this was the 90s because this came out in 97. And, it is supposed to be the future. And it's like the future as viewed from like a 90s perspective. And he is like a radio um personality, right? And it's like, it's kind of funny to think about because, like, yeah, we do still kind of have that, but now it's like more of a stream situation, like, more on the phone, and this is still like him and his voice and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, it'd be kind of funny if they could have predicted the use of phones and like streaming back then, but they didn't. But I still like what they did with him, and he was overacting, but I loved it. This movie was definitely a good time, and the pacing was really nice as well, more or less. I'm like, wait, how long was this again? As if it is 2 hours and 6 minutes, but it, I think it does a good job of like keeping your attention it does a good job laying out the information as well and any exposition about like what's going on. So you're not just like, okay, so wait, what's happening now? Whenever anything happens. So yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. I was talking too loud. But I think I was recording this last night and I kind of got distracted a little bit um because this band that I'm into called Xdinary Heros. They are from South Korea. It's weird and interesting because they are like a rock group, but also because they're in sort of the idol system, like they're in JYP Entertainment, but they're technically in like a subsidy um of them, so it's like J Studio technically. But anyway, it's like literally their drummer, who's also their leader and the oldest, who people have been anticipating may or may not get enlisted right now. He got fired slash kicked out of the band, and this was all of a sudden. And then and that just kind of distracted me all of last night because I was like, what's going on? And like literally the only information that popped up, and this is like it was within 18 hours of them posting promotional photos of him specifically, that they then released a statement under their Twitter account that he was, you know, that it was a mutual understanding and that he left the group. And then at like 5 a.m., like our time, much later for them, he posts on Bubble, which is like this app that people, and it's specific to JYP, but it's an app that people can use. You pay like a monthly subscription and then you can see messages, or like you can leave messages and you can see that they're read by the idol, and the idol has like a general talk situation with them and with whoever purchases. But like usually people just post whatever from the bubble onto like social media because not everybody's going to pay for this. I think it's only like a few dollars a month, but it's still just like it adds up if you're paying for multiple idols across different um like groups and stuff, a part of JYP. And so he had released a statement apologizing. It was a very long statement apologizing because basically the whole controversy is that he there was like some leaked messages, voice note and everything of him, calling fans bitches or whatever. And it turned out that he was talking about specifically Sasaengs, which are these stalker fans who had broken into the boys' dorms and were putting trackers on his car, and he's being harassed and everything like that. And so it had come out, he was explaining that he because he's the oldest and he's the leader, he didn't really want to vent about this kind of stuff with the guys, so, because he had to be, strong and everything. So he had just met up with this woman, um, and, because she's a stranger, he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna vent to this stranger because whatever. I have nowhere else to vent to, no one to vent to." And fucking, and like maybe that happened, maybe they met for like 2 weeks or something. A very short, like, relationship. And fucking she leaks it, or somebody leaks it or whatever. And I'm like, how awful is this? For him to be dealing with that. dealing with the stalker fans, dealing with people complaining and saying they're not good enough and all this stuff and saying they're lazy and all these things. And for him to want to just vent to someone, a stranger, and this person to turn around and then use um their private conversation and push it around, and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, how is he gonna ever trust anyone ever again?" I'm like, "This is so fucked up. All of this is so fucked up." And again, it's like he didn't really do anything that bad, and this studio is turning around and supporting essentially stalker fans more than their actual artist, and that is totally fucked up. I'm like, he gave up his scholarship to Berkeley College, like a music college over here, to pursue this career, and he's been doing this for like 5 years now. He may or may not enlist because we there's speculation that he might just be American. We're not sure, like Korean American maybe. Not completely sure. But um he could have easily, like, he could have legitimately easily just gone into like an early enlistment and all of this would have blew over. But literally, this corporation is literally saying that they care more about stalker fans than they do their actual artists, and I think that's really fucked up. And none of those guys deserve this shit. It's also kind of fucked up that people are like, oh, they should pull a GOT7 and leave together and then form again, and it's like, no, GOT7 is very specific. They had a very specific situation. They all just left JYP, and then JB, their leader, went into law in order to gain the rights to their name and their masters, and still be able to promote as seven, as GOT7, and he made sure that all seven of them wanted to do that. And literally, I guess JYP only does 7-year contracts. They were only 5-year. They're on their 5th year, so there's still 2 fucking years left. If the man is gonna get enlisted and go do the mandatory military shit, he could have literally just did that and this would have blew over. People would have been disappointed or ever. But literally, the fact that they're now having to cancel appearances, they're canceling fan meets, all of this is so sudden. Like, they really didn't think about the implications and the impact that this would have, especially because he's a drummer. You can't really be a band without the drummer. And he drums a specific way. He has like 2 bass drums, and like his whole setup is crazy. So it's like you can't even, like, because they were gonna perform today in Japan, and I'm like, you can't just fucking try to fly somebody in who could know all of their fucking music that quickly. Like, that's not possible. So anyway, that I was just so shocked and stunned, and that kind of ruined my night, really. To the point I don't even really remember what the last thing I said about the Fifth Element was. I'm like, fuck the director of the Fifth Element, Luke Besson. But like I was saying, like I remember saying, Malin is, she's moved on with her life. She's remarried. She has her own children. Um, and I'm like, I feel like I didn't go over the plot really. I mean, it's like a very, not typical, but it is very action packed. It is PG, so there is violence, but it's not super bloody. Um, it's not like people aren't getting mortal wounds or anything like that. You're not seeing like lashings or something, like limbs falling apart. No one really truly dies unless it's like an explosion or something. Like, that's honestly how people have died. Like Zorg died in an explosion. But the diva also dies, which I'm like, don't like those implications, Luke. Why are you killing your wife? Or was your wife? But Um, but Bruce Willis was really cool in this. I'm I feel like I've said this before, but it's just like we haven't been making movie stars in this way of like men who start off doing rom-coms and comedies and getting like sort of the female gaze, the female audience or whatever. I'm gonna use that as like in a binary. Um, and then the pivot to action movies, right? So that they can be so that the stars can be loved fully by like everyone. Like that's essentially how you grow that kind of audience. I mean, Robert Pattinson is doing a good job. It is kind of funny because people are like, "No, we built him. He's our guy," which is really funny. But I think a big thing is like, um, I don't know. The Hollywood system is garbage, truly. And I mean, that's another thing too. It's like, because you start on television and then you sort of try to move over to movies. Some people just go to stage productions, whether that's musicals or stage plays. And acting on a stage is definitely very different from acting on a screen. You have to be a bit more muted in your performances because the camera is like right there. Whereas on the stage, you have to be more exaggerated. But that's also why I kind of love when a theater actor is on a screen because it is a level of overacting, but it's a lot more fun to me because I'm like, it's a fucking movie. It's supposed to be a fantasy. Um, I want to see some drama. Like I don't necessarily want a subtle performance all the time. And I think that's when you get into comedy and there's like the whole straight man versus like the actual comedic relief because you have this person who is immovable, the straight man, and then you have the comedy being thrown at them. And it's like, okay, this is more funny because in a universe people aren't thinking of this as funny. They're looking at the people crazy, and that makes it a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, no, that was fucked up. I really do hate that situation. I'm like, this is all happening in less than 24 hours, and it's just really, really upsetting. Oh yeah, I just remembered that another one of the things that were controversial that he did was complain about his bandmates. And I'm like, what person doesn't complain about the people in their life, especially coworkers or, in this case, it's like coworkers slash bandmates slash like friends or whatever. Like, why are we not allowing him to be a person, to be human? It just, it's just really, really awful that he can't be a regular person and vent to someone. And it's just, it's really shitty. And it just, it makes me think about celebrity as a whole in general. Like, obviously, like with K pop and the parasocialness of it all, it kind of creates these like weird relationships and systems, but it's not exclusive to K-pop. Like that is stuff that happens with celebrity. I mean, like we've seen, how paparazzi treated celebrities here, especially in the early 2000s, like with the whole Britney Spears thing and stuff. But even what she's saying, it sounds like her family went out of their way to call people to witness and photograph her as she was going through what she was going through, which is more awful, actually. I'm like, to go out of your way to, no, all of it is terrible. I'm like, I hate how people treat celebrities. And it's not that I'm like, um, I'm just like, they're people too, and that also means that, they're not perfect. I feel like everyone has a right to privacy, and I think that the way in which celebrities are surveilled is kind of how it's like we've gotten so used to that happening to celebrities, that and also policing them in such a way with cameras and everything like that, and wanting specific things from them, that in turn it's kind of normalized this sort of surveillance state that is, that we're kind of seeing happening amongst just regular people, right? I'm like seeing that whole viral video of like the couple making out in a public space, and you're recording them because why? And then the fucking people had to um like people found out who they were, and then the person had to take a break off or something. And I'm like, why are we doing this? I'm like, should it matter to you if these people are cheating or not? Like, they're in public. Okay, why are you posting this on socials? It's it's literally like what I was saying with the whole thing of like, this is someone he was trying to vent to someone, anyone that was outside of like his actual situations. And it's like, how do you as a person get into that situation? Like, imagine you're like actually able to date your celebrity crush, and instead of like that fucking that thing that happened to what's his name, Trainer from iCarly, the big brother. iCarly, big brother. uh not his Not his fucking not his in-universe name. I'm trying to remember what his actual name is. Da, 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 da. Uh, Jerry Trainer. Like literally, I remember this whole thing that happened to him, um, where somebody had matched with him on like a dating app, and rather than actually just going on a fucking date with him, they decided to post it online, and it's like, are we okay? You just missed out on an opportunity to date him, and you posted it online for like what, internet points? Like, what are we doing here? Why aren't we able to be normal about shit? And I'm like, at least like keep it to the group chat. Keep it to a group chat. If it is that like you want to tell somebody, but like to go online and say this shit, crazy. I just I don't understand. I don't understand. And I'm like, it would be hard for me to trust somebody if that kind of shit happened to me. Of like, I, was talking to you for 2 weeks and I was venting to you about what's going on in my life and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, our conversations are being leaked out into the public. That's great. Now I don't want to meet or or get to know anyone ever. Like, I would have major trust issues if I was in his situation. And I'm like, I really hope he's doing okay. And okay, I don't want to harp too much on it, but yeah, it's like going back to the fifth element, you know, at some point she's dealing with Leeloo is dealing with all these people trying to catch her. She's seeing all this violence. She's seeing all this killing happening all around her. And she got to, I think, the letter V in her knowledge and learning of the world and everything like that. And she's just talking to Bruce Willis's character because she's like, is it worth it? Because in the end, the fifth element can choose to either save humanity or let it be destroyed. And so she learns about war and all of that stuff, and she finally gets to the end, and she's just like, I don't know if this is worth it. I actually don't know. Like, humans can't help but kill each other, and war and all this stuff. And um Corbin, you know basically talks her calms her down and is just like, people keep going. Like, yes, the world is awful. People are awful to each other, but people keep going because of love, and love is the thing that keeps, the world spinning and all this stuff. And they have like a tender moment, and I think they kiss, and then she decides to save humanity. So, and then love wins, and everybody's saved, which is, that's really wholesome. That's a wholesome message to have at the end there. Um, and gosh, I'm like, this is a little disjointed. Um, ooh, I forgot I didn't really write too much for Run Lola Run, but um, ooh, okay, let me read the synopsis. 'Cause I'm like, I love Run Lola Run. It's so good. I'm like, oh man, and the music. Finding out that the soundtrack in this is also created by the director, who the director is Tom Tywor, who actually, yeah, what else has he done? He seems like a cool guy. On the flip side, oh yes, oh my God, he made this movie called Perfume: The Story of a Murderer, which is about a guy who makes perfumes but also kills. He's also worked with the Wachowski sisters, um, and co-directed like Cloud Atlas, as well as Sense8, the show on Netflix that got canceled, unfortunately. And also he did the score of The Matrix Resurrections. And he's German. This is a German film, and I recommend the original German, not the English dub. It's not good. It's not good, and it's just better to listen to the original fucking voices. Like, let's just do that. But to get to the synopsis, after a botched money delivery, Lola has 20 minutes to come up with 100,000 marks. And it's not her, she's not trying to get money for herself. She's actually trying to get money for her boyfriend, Manny. And I'm like, I kind of forgot why he had needed to get this money, but he's like working for whatever Germany's like mob or gangs are called, essentially. And they were testing him to get um to turn in these diamonds and get the money and then deliver the cash at a certain time. But what fucks up the whole operation is that she doesn't show up with the moped to pick him up, and it's only because her moped gets stolen. And while she's dealing with that, Manny has to use public transit, and because he has a whole way of never paying for public transit, after bumping into a homeless guy, he helps him up, sees the patrol people checking the train, and he leaves without his bag of money. And like I was saying earlier, this is kind of like a time travel movie, because what we see happen is, she's got this 20 minutes. She's basically a ride or die for Manny, and decides to figure out she has three chances. We see her go through three different runs, essentially. And honestly, the movie poster kind of shows that, because it's her in like a triptych, and it's just like her face running in a blur. And the first run, which could be seen as like the original run, give or take. I'm like, I feel like people could inter intercept, no, in words are escaping my mind. I don't know the time. um Um, oh, okay, here we go, here we go. Because I was like, I was writing notes. It's definitely easier to write notes while I'm at home while watching a movie because I'm like, it's much harder to try to do that in a theater. Um, interpret. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. You can interpret this movie however you want to. I would love to believe in a happy ending, and that she just was like, let me think through all of my options. For every single one, she thinks of asking for her dad for help. Um, and I wrote down like the outcomes of everything. So with the first run, and you kind of see this happen a little bit. Like she runs into the same people each time. So the first run, there's a woman with a baby in a stroller. Because she runs into this woman, the baby gets taken away. The woman becomes an addict. She then decides to steal someone's baby. As she continues to run, there's a guy that tries to sell her a bike. She doesn't want to take it. He had stolen the bike. Oh, wait, no, no. The bike gets stolen from him. He gets beat up. He actually finds love and gets married. Um, and then when she makes it to her dad's job, which, oh my God, it's kind of fun too because, yes, we have this scene where she's running and everything like that. And there's really fun editing that happens in this movie. We also get two different styles of camera in this because we have this sort of more professional, like there's crane shots, there's um more of these I'm like forgetting the word, but it like switches to her dad and what's going on with her dad, and it's more of this like handy cam situation, like not as good quality, like there's some crazy drama going on there, and I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So her dad is dealing with um her dad is cheating on her mom with someone he works with, of course, and she is telling him about how she's pregnant and that it's his baby, and right as she's explaining this, Lola is running through the hallway and she bumps into another woman, and that woman um somehow gets killed in oh no, she gets into an accident and becomes disabled and ends up like killing herself. I'm just like, oh my God, this is like a bleak future for all of these people. And so her dad is very happy, very excited, and ushers Lola away because he's like, actually, fuck you. Like this first run is really rough. Like it's so terrible that what he says to her, he doesn't believe um she's his in the first place. She's like, I wouldn't raise a child like you. And she goes off, she runs to where Manny is, and Manny was like, if you don't show up at noon, I'm gonna rob this grocery store because I was told that they make $200,000 a day. So by noon they should have half of it, which is the amount that, I need. And so she tries to stop Manny before he gets into the grocery store, and she doesn't make it. He starts robbing them, and then, and again, I'm like, she's fucking ride or die here, and decides to. There's like a guy that shows up behind him with a gun, and she knocks that guy out, takes the gun, and also is robbing the grocery store with Manny. They get the money, they try to run, and then she gets shot. So she gets shot, and so what happens is like it's kind of like this red room, and it's like her and Manny talking, and she's asking him like, what would you do if I died or whatever, like you would probably move on and all this stuff. And then we go into the second run and we go back to her trying to make a decision. I love the run sequence as well because it also is this kind of mixed, even more mixed filmmaking style because it goes from live action to this sort of animated hand drawn thing. Which now that I think about it, I don't know who who does um the animation. But it was so fun. Uh and also this movie is perfect because it is also not that long. It is only an hour and 21 minutes, not even an hour 30, which is a classic time amount. An hour and 21 minutes. Like phenomenal. Jesus. We're done. Like, it's amazing. And it is also free on YouTube, with ads, of course. But she I said time travel, it's definitely more of a loop. Um, and just she's running and she keeps running until she finds the perfect run. And so it restarts, and on the second run, she gets tripped and falls down oh, I didn't write down the third run, but that's okay. I mostly remember it. She gets tripped, and this is funny because it happens in the animation. So she gets tripped and falls down the stairs, and then it goes from the animation to her just on the stairs. And I'm like, that's kind of a fun way to not have a like stunt double or actor, intentionally hurt themselves on camera. And so because of that, she's kind of slowed down a little bit. She does bump into that lady again, but this time that lady wins the lotto. The bike, the guy is trying to sell the bike, doesn't, he just ends up homeless and dies. And then with the dad and his, lover or whatever, the baby isn't his. The baby isn't his this time. And so there's just a lot of shit going on. And Lola decides to rob the bank that her dad works in. She steals the security guard's gun, has it pointed at her dad, and the lady in the hallway. I love this ending for her. She ends up being in like a BDSM marriage, where she's a dom and one of the clerks is her sub. And I'm like, I love that. That's amazing. Good for her. I'm jealous. And okay. And so she's robbing the bank, and the clerk, she's got the gun pointed at her dad. The clerk that's going to end up in as a sub is grabbing more money for her. She's able to leave the bank. There's cops all around, and they're like, "Hey, get out of the way. There's robbers in there." And they tackle her away from the entrance, which is so fucking funny. It's such a funny thing. And it's like, she's the one that robbed them just now, but okay, if you're gonna let me go, I guess. And she's successful. Oh, there's an ambulance as well. There's an ambulance that shows up in the first run, second one, and the third one. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, so the first run, it runs through. Oh, there's like two things specific that I forgot to mention. The ambulance runs through this giant piece of glass in the first run. And another thing that happens is that when Lola's running, she um, ends up she ends up getting hit by a car, but not really. She stops a car. Oh, she stops a car basically, and that car runs into a different car, and that other car is full of these like big burly men. And it's just like, and I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna get beat up. And so she runs into that guy twice. And in the second run, she makes it to Manny. She has the money. He doesn't rob the grocery store, but he gets hit by the ambulance. And so now in this in between space, it's Manny asking her, like, what would you do if I died or whatever? You'd probably move on, all this stuff. And I'm just like, y'all are silly. Okay. But now we have the third run, the third and final run. I'm like, this is definitely a fast paced movie. I'm like, ugh, an hour, 20 minutes. Amazing, beautiful. We gotta get back. We gotta bring these back. You have a, a very clean beginning, middle, end, and which is phenomenal, amazing, beautiful. I love it. And so, she's got these 20 minutes and she leaps over the dog and the boy so she doesn't trip. She doesn't run into the lady. And I'm trying to remember. She, um, oh, oh, oh. She makes it to, the, bank. She makes it to her dad's job, but, the guy who she kept stopping and then he was getting into an accident, that was actually um her dad's customer. So he actually shows up before his mistress slash lover can even mention being pregnant. And so they leave. And so when Lola actually shows up to her dad's job, she sees him leaving before she can even ask for the money or anything like that. So she doesn't even make it to the bank. And so she's running around, she's trying to figure out what's going on. In the meantime, I forget how this happens with Manny, but Manny, oh, because she was also running into the homeless guy that might have the bag of money in the other two runs. This time, Manny runs into the homeless guy. Like he shows up because of the timing and everything. Like he actually shows up around Manny. So Manny actually decides to run after him, catches up to him. He has a gun at some point and he's like, actually, yeah, I have the, oh, 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 okay. I'm remembering now. I'm remembering now. So the bike guy runs into the homeless guy. The homeless guy buys the bike off of him. Now the homeless guy has a bike. He's biking around. That's when Manny sees him from the phone booth that he's waiting for Lola to show up at. And then from there it's a chase, and then Manny brings out his gun. He's like, "Hey, I have a gun. Just give me the money. That's mine." He takes it. The homeless guy is like, "Can you just give me the gun?" And Manny was like, "Yeah." I was like, you're gonna just hope he doesn't shoot you in the back, I guess. And so they do kind of a trade-off. Manny gets the bag of money. Um, the homeless guy gets the gun. And so while that's happening in the background, because I'm like, remember, this is the 90s, there's no cell phones really, there's only phone booths and home phones. So it's not like they're communicating. It's like you meet up in a place that was predetermined, and that's kind of it at a specific time. And I'm like, it was like that for most of time, actually, until, cell phones became more popular. But anyway, so Lola's trying to figure out where she can get this money. She sees a casino. She only has like, I don't know, $20 or something. I'm trying to remember. She doesn't have that much money, but she gets like one chip, and she plays on the roulette wheel, and she only she makes one bet on one number, and she continues to win, and she at some point the wheel is going and she starts screaming, and this is kind of a scream that we get to hear throughout the movie, and she's just able to somehow win before she gets kicked out too, because the casino had a particular dress code and she definitely was not dressed for that space, and she leaves with more than $100,000. And it's marks or whatever. It's not USD, but still, it's a lot of money. She wins, she leaves, and she catches the ambulance actually. And there's a guy in there who they're trying to resuscitate, and she holds his hand and they look at each other, and he actually gets his heartbeat becomes steady, and she's able to make it to the meeting place where Manny's supposed to be. He's not there for some reason, but then she looks, he's coming out of a car. He was able to give them the money, and it kind of ends there with them meeting up. He's all happy. She's all happy. She now has $100,000. That's all hers. Legal tenure, and it ends there. And I'm like, ugh, I love that movie so much. It's so fun. It's such a it's like a good. It's a major influence for me. I definitely like the style of filmmaking. I like the style of editing, and I think and this man has gone on and done so many other things. And I'm like, ugh, I talked about fucking J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, but the fact that one of the Wachowski sisters is trying to make a fucking movie and she can't even get fucking funding for it. She can't get financing for it because the whole cast would be made up of trans people. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, legitimately, the person, you're telling the person who made The Matrix that you don't want to give her money? Are we crazy? Like, what's going on? Her name alone should be able to get, like doors open. People should be wanting to do things for her. And the fact, I'm like, I hate this shit. I'm like, seriously, it's obnoxious. And, because something like The Matrix is such a big budget film, it's like we know what she would do with that kind of money. Because something like, Run Lola Run, I'm going to look at the Wikipedia right now, actually. Because I'm like, I doubt the budget for this was that big. Yeah, it was like $1 million versus The Fifth Element that had a $90 million budget. And I'm like, yeah, and that went into all the costuming and the set design, it's like, and I'm like, I can only imagine that the 1 million mostly went to the permits and like the cranes and the filming, like the specific cameras and stuff. Like, I can only imagine. And of course, paying everybody. Everybody needs to be able to live and eat and stuff. And what a day. What a time. I can't believe it. But I'm like, I feel like that's all I have to say. I kind of got derailed a little bit, but I mean, that's what happens in this podcast, and I can't help it. I did try to talk about everything, at least. You can follow me on Instagram at V_noir_. Check out my podcast archive at www.nwwitapod.com and support me on Patreon. V Noirs Film Club, patreon.com/V Noirs Film Club. Noir is spelled with an E. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.